Good morning, everybody. It's Michelle at Hesketh Emporium here. Today I'm doing a little tutorial, very quickly hopefully, because Caroline, one of my lovely sewing ladies at the sewing group that I run in Wigan, Handmade, she's asked how we make these little coasters. And she's forgotten how, because there is a little twist in them that is a little complicated, but once you get the hang of it, they're easy to make. This is a square version. I'm going to show you how to do one with the triangles. What you need for the project is some fabrics, 2 contrasting fabrics if you want the corners to be contrasting, but if not, you can do it all in the same color. You can do all 4 squares a different color. It doesn't really matter. So what I've got today is 2 very heavily contrasting fabrics. So you can have a look over here. I've got a bright yellow and a bright red, only because I want to show you the contrast. They can be any size. So you can make them the size of a pot holder. But for today, I'm going to make a little teacup or a mug holder. And so these ones, let's have a quick look. These are little offcuts from something else. If we just have a see, they're actually 4 inches, which isn't a bad size. If you have a 4-inch or 6-inch square ruler, they're absolutely fantastic for this. If you're going to make a lot of these, for example, for Christmas presents or anything, then I suggest got this little scrap, and it happens to be nearly 4 inches. I'm just going to make the sample one 4 inches. What you need is 5 4-inch squares for mine. Whatever you're doing, you need 5 squares of whatever size you want. So for this one, we are going to go with 4 inches here on the ruler by 4 inches and see if it'll fit on these little scraps. And it does. So let's just go ahead and cut those out. So this is the 2 pieces. So let's say these are both the tops. That's a bit scraggy, but you know what? I'm not that worried because I can fix that when I'm sewing. If you're not sure, just replace your ruler on the opposite side and cut off all of the scraggy bits. And then if you start off with it lovely and square, you know it's going to remain like that. So 2 of my yellow bees, and then I'm going to do 2 in this red. So rather than cutting 2 of them out separately, what I'll do is fold it over and just check. So I want 4 inches. Let's turn the ruler around. 4 inches, so that'll be big enough. So line my ruler up over there, and I'll cut 2 sides at 4. Like so, and then I'll turn my ruler and I'll place the 4 inches there, and I'll cut this side as well. I could do with a new blade, because please don't do that backward and forward sawing. It's really not good, but also don't pull threads, because you will at some point. You can tell my blade is blunt because I'm getting these little bits there. And then all I'm going to do is take off the merest slither on this side, because they are they're in half. So I should now have 2 reds. So I now have 2 red, 2 yellow, but I said we needed 5 because this is the base. You can use something completely contrasting as your 5th piece, or it could be one of your fabrics that you've already chosen. So I'm just going to cut this because it's here and it makes it easier. Working in this tight little space does make everything a bit more awkward, but we are fine. We'll manage somehow. So there you go. We have got 5 pieces. Don't pull these little threads. If you ever get these, that is 1 strand of thread that's not been cut. If you pull it, what's going to happen is it's going to ladder across your work. So don't do that. Just snip it rather. 5 squares. Whatever size you want. If you're making it for a tray or a trivet or a pot stand, then make it whatever size you want. Just remember you need to add 2 centimeters for your sides and 2 centimeters for your length as well, because that's your seam allowance. Right, now you can go to your iron if you really want to, and you can do this on your iron, but you don't have to. You can do finger pressing. Fold 2 point to point to make a little pyramid. Oh, I've got a nick in that one, but it's fine. It's within the seam allowance, so it's okay. So we've got 2 of those for the tops. We've got 2 yellows. As you can see, they're right sides outwards, okay, not right sides in. And 2 yellows. So we now have 2 tops in one color and 2 tops in another color. And this is what I was saying, you do not have to have a contrast color. You can do it all in one color. And this is your base. Any color. Ready. Place it on the board. Got some pins here somewhere. I used them yesterday, I promise. And I will just take, let's start with the yellow. Let's go top left corner here. We're going to place this onto the corner, line it up so that your triangle is on top of your square. When you've done that, stay there, Serena. I am just going to find what on earth I did with my pins yesterday. I was so busy in here. They are on the other side of the room. If you want, you can put a pin in here, and you can put a pin in this corner. Don't normally pin them, but you know what, in the beginning it's a good idea to pin them because they will move. So we've now done the top, let's call it the top left corner. We now take the opposite color, and if you want you can swivel it once, and now you repeat that exactly as you did for the yellow one. You place it point, point, point into each square. You can release your pin and repin each of these points here. Obviously, you don't worry about this one because it hasn't got a, it's not got an overlap yet. Now you're going to put a pin there. So you can put 3 pins now. You've got 4, 1 on each corner. Give it a little swivel again, contrasting. So you're going to go one color, one color. Put that into the corner, line it up nice and neatly, undo your pin and redo your pin. So all of this part of the tutorial and the making of this is really simple. The difference and the sort of the challenging bit, the mathematical bit that people find challenging is the last one. So we 4th turn. Exactly the same. Place that on the corner and place that there. Go to this corner and pin it through all the layers. So no difference to this one. No difference to this one. We can just take one pin, place it across both and release that pin. Now what you want to do, sorry, I shouldn't have put that pin in. I should have put this one here. What you're going to do is lift up this, okay? You haven't pinned it yet. You've only pinned one corner, but it's lined up already. You lift up this carefully and you go to the one underneath it, this triangle here, this small triangle, okay? So it's underneath here. So you lift that one over and you lift this one out of the way and you swap them over. And you swap them over. Okay, I'm going to do that again for you. So this is what it was like when we first came here. We placed our triangle on top. We lifted up this one out of the way. We lifted up the one hiding underneath it. We plopped that one down under and we placed the... what we're going to do now is repeat that again for you slowly so that it's really clear how you do this. You've got your triangle on the top. This is the fourth and final one, right? You can pin it there if you want to. It keeps it nice and in the right position. Raise up this one that you've just placed down and pull it out of the way. Okay? So that's the last one. You've just folded it out of the way. Now you want this little triangle here. You're going to pick that one up and you're going to fold it back out of the way as well. All right. So we've folded this one out of the way, picked up this one and folded it out of the way. Now you're going to go back to the red. You're going to tuck it under and you're going to put the yellow on top of the red. And there you have now got your opposites. If you don't do that, you're not going to land up with opposites, and you're also not going to land up with that origami effect. So pick one up, pick two up, place the one down, and place the other one on top. Now you can go back and pin across this corner. That one there, because with all moving, you will find bits like this happen. It sticks out. So I'm going to just tuck that back in nicely, line it back up and get my pin all the way across the corner. Okay, we are ready to sew. Take it to your machine. Some of you are looking at this and thinking, it's all the right side out. How is this going to work? Well, it will work, I promise you. I'm going to show you a little technique that I use when I do this. Let's make sure our machine is on the right stitch. It's just a straight stitch. We are going to start. You want about a 1 centimeter seam allowance or the width of your presser foot, which is what I'm doing. Put your needle in the down position and turn. I'm going to show you what I've just done when I'm finished on the machine, okay? Now we go to the first corner and you want to stop where the two different fabrics intersect each other. Turn it round, go down the other side. Move your pin out of the way if you've used one. Remember, you can also use clips for this if you don't like pins. I am definitely of the pin variety. Right, keep going down the other side so you're pivoting at each corner, and if you get little bumps or anything, just smooth everything out and flat. What you don't want to do is this to move up like this when you come to it. So when you get to that part, just pause with your needle down, make sure your fabric is flat. Now, final straight edge. And why we didn't start and just go straight across is because we need to turn this inside out. So we're leaving a gap. Final corner, turn, and now we're coming back to the beginning. We want to leave a gap here for turning. How big you make that is up to the size of your fingers really and how dexterous you are. Now I'm going to sew a little bit, needle down, turn the corner and sew off the edge. I'm going to show you why I do that in a second. Clip your threads. Now some of you are wondering why I've done this, made a little gate. When you're making a gap in your fabric to turn it out, these little lines of stitches here make a beautiful turn as opposed to when you don't do that. Sorry, I'm just getting a pair of come on, Serena, what's this called? A needle, a hemostat?
Yep. No, those aren't hemostat.
What's this? Is this a needle holder? This is a cotton wool ball holder here. So I know this is for swabs and things, hey?
Yes.
So, peeps, I can tell you surgical instruments for sewing are the best. The reason, this turns things around. This makes tubes. This makes everything. This one makes nice points. So we want a pair of scissors at this point.
You can buy them online if you're
You can. Yes, you can. I'm going to clip the corners off. Don't make it too close to your stitches. I would say a sort of a stitch away or a millimeter or so away. cut the corners off so that you get nice points when you turn your coaster around. So cut your points off. Now you go to your hole that you made and you put your fingers in. You want to put your fingers in where your single back layer is. And you're going to grab it and you're going to push it through the little hole you made. And when you've done that, you are going to, you know what, this is where it can be a bit confusing. Where's my hole? My hole is here by my thumb. Get my pointy turner, push my points out. Could have pushed that one out with my finger a bit more. So get to your corner. Don't use anything sharp, which is why this is wonderful. It's got a little, it's got a small point, but it's rounded. So you don't actually have as much danger of pushing through. If you use the scissors, your scissors, and you use the point of your scissors, believe me, I have experience, you're going to make a hole in the corner. And then you can turn it back round again, of course, and re-sew it. But who wants to repeat something they've already done once? Point 3. Go over here and push this one out. And some, you know what, it's really the weirdest thing with some points are so much better than others. Depends on how you've sewn it. And then your 4th corner, which is this one here where my seam, the hole is in my seam. Push that out. Give it a nice little twist. Just be careful. And obviously, depending on how fragile your fabric is how vigorous you can be with this. So I was saying to you why I did those 2 little lines. Well, this is why. Because these 2 little lines of stitches were here. They immediately make this absolutely perfect tuck, which is exactly the right width, size, and everything else. And when you place it down, it's perfect. So there you have your coaster. What do you do with the hole? At this point, you can go and iron it if you like. I'm not going to do that today because it's a demo, but yes, iron it. Line up that opening. Go back to your machine. I'm going to just use the black that's on the machine because I want you to be able to see the stitching. And you can start wherever you want. I like to always start in the middle of these seams. And when you get to the corner, go slow. You've got 8 or so layers of fabric in this corner. You do not want to break your needle right at this point. So go nice and slow. And also, have a look at your presser foot. It's at this terrible angle and machines don't like that. So what you can do is tuck something under there so your foot is still level and then you won't break a needle as easily. So whenever you get to a corner, that's what I would suggest you do. Get to your next corner, needle down, turn. Now you can, of course, use a lovely decorative stitch for this. If you prefer, rather than use a straight stitch, you could put a contrasting color thread and do a lovely decorative stitch on the edges. Absolutely depends on you. There's a huge difference, honestly, than when you put this underneath, it drags your fabric through if it's bulky very well. If your if your presser foot is hanging downwards like that, it struggles to gain traction to start. That's why we do that. When we get to this next corner, I'm just aware that this is not perfect for what I want. I'm just tucking that in nicely. And again, turn that round. I'm going to pop that back under there. I do actually have things that are designed for this. You don't have to use those. You can make yourself, and machines come with them. I haven't got one right here in front of me. This is from a Bernina, and these are wedges for you to do exactly that with. So what I can do is just pop that wedge under there, and that's what they are for. If you have them in your machine and you were like, what on earth is this for? And I'm now coming back up to my beginning where I didn't do a back tack for a very good reason, that I don't want it to look bulky there. And I'm going to go straight over the stitches I'd already used. And then what I do is I just pull back on my fabric to make the stitches super short, and it locks that in place. And now take it off the machine, and voila, you have your first coaster. Done and dusted. How gorgeous is that? White. You could put something in the middle. So in the past, I've done that. They absolutely are not necessary. I made it more as a decorative option. You can put a crisscross there. You could put a button there. Some mugs have a dimple in them. That would be fine. You wouldn't want to put a button in the middle there and your teacup is going to rock. But in some situations, you could. For gift ideas, you could tuck tea bags in here or sweets. Give it to somebody with a mug. And that would make a lovely gift. I'm just going to demonstrate. I've got 3 threads here. One is superfluous. What I did with one of my others is I just free motion, go backward and forward through the middle, stop in the middle, get it back in the middle, and just do a little cross or a flower, whatever you like. And that will now hold that in place. So that's an optional thing to do. Absolutely not necessary. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that little tutorial and that it helps you make a set for somebody. Fabulous gifts to give to somebody, especially maybe for a housewarming party or, if a new baby's in the house. You could make a little set for their room, for bottles to stand on and stuff like that. As well, very fancy face wipes if you really want to go to the effort of making them. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial. Take care.